Hi guys, welcome back. Sorry about that slight delay. We had to sort out some targeting issues, but with help from CCP, it looks like we're good to go. Okay, so today for you, we've got Waffles versus the Tuskers, defending champions. The Tuskers are coming back to defend the title of the first EVE Collide champion. They're challenged by the Waffles, who are an alliance tournament team. They've taken past the last few tournaments, and they're good PvPers on Tranquility. So we're going to be starting the first match shortly. Before we do that, though, we are going to just quickly give you the first question. We've got 5 billion ISK to give away in EVE credits. So the way it's going to work is I'm going to give out a question. You guys will X up in the channel, the in-game channel. That is hashtag EVE_NT collides. You have to be logged into TQ and you have to join that channel to win prizes. I'm going to ask you questions. The first question is going to be, he scrolls up, what is the name of the prize frigate that will be for Alliance Tournament 13? What's the name of the frigate? The prize frigate rather, for Alliance Tournament 13. So first 10 people to X up in the hashtag _NT collides channel with the correct, there we go, I see one answer coming in already. They'll win 100 million EVE credit. So let's get the first match underway. So I'm going to hand you over to Chesser now and Titonia, who will commentate on the first match, and I'll catch after you shortly. So we're going to start the local and countdown soon. Chesser, take it away.
Sure thing. Thanks, Bay. I'm here with Satonia, and let's give you a quick rundown of the teams. So we have the Tuskers coming in here with the meta that they set previously. Yes, last EVE when they were fighting against Test, completely wiped the floor with them. They're coming back with a double tactical destroyer setup, a Basilisk CS in the Vulture and the Harpy. I really like this setup because you have a really high mobility, a really high utility fleet that has great logistics, and of course still has that very clutch links provided by the Vulture. So Tonia, why don't you break down the Waffles team?
Okay, so the Waffles have brought 2 Typhoons. They are brawling Typhoons. They're armor fit with cruise missile launchers fit. We also have 2 Inquisitors, armored Logi frigates. I'm not sure how well they're going to hold up against 2 Jackdaws that are going to be unleashing a lot of bombardment on these guys from far away. And they do have a Celestis as well to damp out the enemy. But I believe with the Jackdaw's sharpshooting subsystems, they will be able to still lock and apply damage even under Celestis pressure. And the match is starting right now.
Match is finally just starting now. Let's kind of see what's going to be going on here. We have Suleiman Shua in the Vulture, who is going to be the team captain for Tuskers. I'm kind of going to watch him very closely, because if the Typhoons can catch the Vulture and take him down, the survivability of the Jackdaws is going to go down immensely. That being said, you know, the Typhoons being cruise fit with the Celestis, they're perfectly happy to sit at range. You see drones are being applied now, and it looks like they're going to go to work right away on this Harpy and see that they can take it down. So it's going to be paramount to see if the Tuskers are going to be able to hold this cruise damage.
Yeah, the Vulture's starting to take quite a lot of damage as well. He's about 4/5 shields. He is getting reps now. And the Harpy's taking some minor damage too. No damage on the Waffle side yet.
You know, I think if you're going to be seeing damage, I really would assume that the Jackdaws are definitely going to want to go in for those Inquisitors first. Those Typhoons are just going to have an absolutely huge buffer tank, and it's going to take a while for the Jackdaws to break them down. That being said, the Harpy
just taking the armor.
Yeah, armor. He's trying to pull back into Logi range now, but it's going to be difficult to outrange these Typhoons with their cruise missiles. It'd be interesting to me if they're shooting precision or if they're shooting CN. You know, with the Typhoon's innate application bonus, that Harpy can be under a lot of trouble if he flies improperly or slows down with this MWD on. Dana needs to be careful.
Okay, and saying that, the Jackdaws have made their ways down now, but the Jackdaws just got looted by a Typhoon and it's taking damage now. It would be interesting to see if the Logi is damped, if this Jackdaw will go down or not.
It's a huge piloting error right there. There's absolutely no reason why a Jackdaw needs to get within 25 kilometers of a Typhoon, and I'm not sure why. The Jackdaws have supreme mobility over these slow-plated Foons. So for him to get muted out like that, unless he has a cap booster, he could be in some serious trouble here. So
he is getting Logi reps now, though.
He's getting reps. If he switches to defense, mode, does he have enough, though? Because if the dudes stay on him, the Typhoons are going to capture him, and they're just going to hold on tight. And with one Jackdaw down, that's a lot of the damage that the Tuskers are bringing to the table.
Yes, they do have him captured. I believe they have him webbed and scrammed right now. Both Typhoons are sitting right on top of that Jackdaw there.
So this is going to be the moment right here where you're going to see Waffles fully committing here on this Jackdaw, and if the Tuskers have any chance of getting out of this problem, the Jackdaw either needs to hold or they need to trade that Jackdaw for both those logic frigates right away. It seems, though, in defense mode, that Jackdaw is actually doing a sublime job of staying alive. Really, really good reps are being provided by the Tronicus and the Basilisk, and I think with Johnny keeping his cool and staying in defense mode, I think they might be able to hold this.
Yeah, we're seeing a bit of split damage now, and there's splitting damage between Basilisk, Jackdaw, and Harpy. Meanwhile, the Inquisitor is taking damage. It's taking quite a lot of damage right now, though, but it was holding earlier. It looks like the Inquisitor is in a bit of trouble right now. It's taking a bit more damage than it's receiving reps. It's about to enter structure right now.
Yeah, the Inquisitor's down.
They've lost an Inquisitor.
That's huge. Inquisitor and Frigate Logi in general inside of a tournament situation, you know, I really just don't like them. They have a 30k range and they need to be close. And with so many potent anti-frigate platforms available, like T3 destroyers, you know, there's so many anti-support cruisers out there, those frigates can just get volleyed quickly. And once one goes down, you basically have a completely useless ship because it can be focused like it is now. Sir Phobos's Inquisitor is just falling apart, falling to pieces.
Saying that,
the
Typhoon just got a new cycle up on that Basilisk. It looks like they're trying to brawl him down. He has used 4 or 5 ancillary charges at this point. The Tuskers are going for this, the Celestis now, which is taking damage, and he'll probably die quite quickly without the Logifix left to repair it. But we'll see. The Basilisk will stop taking damage now. If they can apply... I know it used a few charges, so if they can keep the damage up on the Basilisk, they might be able to bring this match back.
Yeah, definitely. If the Typhoons can take that Basilisk down. The question is, though, is the Basilisk fast enough to outrange the newts? Excuse me, to outrange the heavy newts on the Foons while still repping its shield? That's the real question here. I'm curious to see how it's fit. I'm going to quick give it a scan just so we know.
Is very close to getting on top of it, I think. The Basilisk is doing a very good piloting job here, trying to avoid these 2 Typhoons.
The Tronicus is just being a complete hero right now. Right now, the match is really going to hinge as far as the Tuskers' ability to easily take this on him staying alive underneath this very, very aggressive Foon, Newt, and damage pressure. Man, I just think that the
Tuskers support wing is down now. They just have, sorry, the Waffles support wing is down. We just have 2 Typhoons left on the field. I think the Harpy really needs to come in and screen one of these Typhoons off to try and give Latronicus as much breathing room as possible, and I think that's what's happening right now.
Yeah, no, the Typhoons had a chance there, I think, to catch him, but I think only Ro had his newts on, and Sis could not get on top of the Basilisk to hold it down. You know, excellent piloting by Latronicus, pulling off an escape and staying inside the beacon range. I think the Typhoons are going to be in some serious trouble now.
Yeah, they're swapping to the Vulture now. I think the Jackdaws have them damped, so they have to switch targets.
Yeah, it's going to be, all it is now is going to be just a race against the clock. Can the Typhoons make a play? Can they take down one of the big ships, whether it be the Vulture or the Basilisk, before their big armor buffer falls apart?
Well, the Vulture's entering armor almost, but it is catching Logi reps now. It'll be interesting to see if the Basilisk can keep it up against two Typhoons that are on top of it with newts. It has taken armor. It is taking armor damage. It might go down here. If they lose the Vulture, though, I'm not sure if it will be enough to swing the match.
Yeah, no, it may not. It's all going to come down to then, can Latronicus keep 2 Typhoons at bay, and, you know, which I think will be easier with the Jackdaws. We've already seen that the Waffle Typhoons are unable to break Jackdaws even under full newt scram web pressure once they switch to defense mode. That strong passive 33% increase in shield resistance keeps them up easily.
The Typhoons have just got 4 EC300s onto Latronicus and his Basilisk. I'm not sure how likely it is to get jammed, but if they can jam, they will be able to kill the Vulture.
Yeah, it's going to come down to jam cycles right now, and you know, the Vulture getting very, very, very close to going down. If there's a single cycle that lands, I think we're going to see goodbye to Suleiman. I've yet to see him die in a tournament, so this will be first for me.
Saying that Ro Anan is coming very close to his death knell here on 25% armor.
Yeah, like I said,
if they can kill either the Basilisk or Vulture before he dies, maybe they can have a chance, but if it's just one Typhoon, I think he'll just get kited around by Jackdaws until the end of the match.
Definitely. We're getting so close here with Suleiman and Ro. If they can take Suleiman down very, very quickly, And Rose still has a little bit of extra moves to maybe catch something else. Basilisk maybe unlikely, but at least try to kill a Jackdaw in some way. Otherwise, this match is looking like the Tuskers are probably going to pull it out thanks to their, again,
Suleiman's
their
down.
meta.
Suleiman's down.
Yeah, Suleiman is down, but you know what? Isn't enough. Rose is still in 4% armor. Man, I just have to say, the Tuskers with their meta setting, this command ship, double T3Ds, and logistics cruiser tech tube, have shown that type of setup, and they brought it here, multiple times to be extremely versatile. They handled many of the different ships and ship types that Test threw at them, and now here, even with the double battleship, you can still see that this comp comes across really, really well. For 6 points each, T3D's really looking strong right now.
So the Typhoon of Ro has gone down now, so it's just one Typhoon left against Harpy, Basilisk, 2 Jackdaws, and I think without that Typhoon, the Basilisk should be able to keep a Harpy up against the solo Typhoon, and of course that Harpy has a scram Typhoon, so he won't be able to switch targets at all.
Yeah, right beforehand, I think the match was very, very telling when Johnny was caught by both of the Waffle Typhoons and they were unable to break him underneath Latronicus reps in the Basilisk. And I think once that was shown, it was really, really well played by Waffles to immediately switch their game plan. They went hunting for Latronicus. They got Suli eventually, but the fact that 2 Jackdaws can live underneath the Typhoons, even fully scram-webbed, is really, really a strong testament to the fact that this match was going to be an uphill battle from square one for Waffles.
Those Typhoons did do a good job of surviving, even without their Logi as well. If they would have been able to kill that Basilisk, then they would have won on points. So it was pretty close.
Yeah, no, it was definitely a lot closer than I was originally thinking it was going to be. It was just so clutch of Latronicus to be able to outfly 2 Typhoons that were trying to press it up against the side of the arena. For him to outfly that, dodge the heavy nuke, cap pressure, running the MWD, and of course shield repping himself. I mean, that takes quite a lot of skill and ability to multitask, so really, really good flying on him. The 1 minute timer is just ticking down now. I wonder if we'll be able to see the last end of Sis's Typhoon.
Yeah, Latronicus was really the hero of this match.
Logi guys, take note. That's how you Logi right. And that's why being a Logi means you have to have huge balls, because you got to be able to throw it out and come up with these clutch plays, because if Latronicus would have went down, these Typhoons would have easily walked over the rest of the fleet easily. That was definitely a clutch play. MVP for the Logi pilot, that's for sure. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That is the end of the match. So Tonya, why don't you kind of give us a quick recap? What your highlights were? What your thoughts were? What did you like? What did you didn't like? Any huge piloting errors that you might have noticed?
Well, I think the Tuskers had a bit of trouble starting, because we didn't really see damage early on in the fight, and one of the Jackdaws actually got muted by a Typhoon, and it actually got the Typhoons were actually able to get on top of him, but they weren't able to break the Jackdaw in defensive mode under the Basilisk reps. So then they switched targets between the Vulture and the Basilisk, and the Jackdaws were just able, and the Tuskers were just able to kill the Waffles logistics, and that by then the Waffles just kept losing support ships. They did put a lot of pressure on Tronicus in the Basilisk, but he did a fantastic job of kiting them around the arena, and they did eventually lose the Vulture. I guess the Basilisk wasn't able to heat so much. Waffles did try and win the match. They did swap to EC 300 drones, trying to get a jam chance on Tronicus, and if they did get that jam off, they may have even been able to win the match. But the Typhoon just went down, and once they lost the Typhoon, the Harpy was basically able just to permanently screen it, and it had no chance of winning after that.
Cool.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
It's a fantastic match. I was on the edge of my seat there. I was yelling, hoping that Sully would die. But like you said, I don't think I've ever seen him die in a tournament either myself. He died a few times in practice when I flew with him, but yeah, that was really, really exciting when he was just clinging on there and Hull. It was brilliant. Okay, guys, so we're just going to, before I hand you back over to the commentators to go a little bit more in depth in that match and the 2 teams that are competing here today, let me just give you the next question. We're going to give away another billion ISK in EVBET credit here. You'll get it in 100 million ISK tokens. You can log on to EVBET, get that as soon as you get our prize giver mails you that token. You can log on to EVBET and put the money on this match if you want. Maybe you won't win yourself some. For people who don't have EVBET credit already, you can log on to evbet.com and make some money. Betting on this, there was a point in that match where I thought I could go either way, so maybe you can win yourself some money betting on the Waffles. Really good odds right there. Okay, so the next question is, you might have been able to predict this one. So the first 10 people to X up in the hashtag #Eve_NT channel on Tranquility will win themselves a prize here. So I want to know, what is the prize cruiser for Alliance that has been announced for Alliance Tournament 13? What is the name of the prize cruiser announced for Alliance Tournament 13? So I'll hand you back over to Chisir now, who did a fantastic job commentating, to go into who these teams are and what he thinks they can do.
All right, so the two teams playing, if you haven't figured that out already, is the Tuskers and the Waffles. Tuskers and Waffles both have history in the AT. They're both tournament teams, but in the arena of EVNT, the Tuskers right now absolutely reigning champions. Last week, they absolutely wiped the floor with Test, and the week before that, the Ministry of Inappropriate Footwork took them down as well. Tuskers have brought, as far as their 5 setups, and you can definitely check it out on our website, evntcollides.uk, and check the team profiles. But last month, they came up with this meta of a double T3Ds, a Logitech 2 Cruiser, and a command chip for Lynx, along with an AF. And let me tell you, I've just been really impressed, because last week I had to bite my tongue. They did really, really well with that setup. And this week, again, they've brought an additional 2 setups. Actually, they had brought all 3 setups: double Jackdaw, double Confessor, double Zweeple, which were banned out, against Waffles. Gorski, why don't you tell me a little bit about Waffles? Tell me what you know. What do you like about their setups? Do you see anything that might catch your eye?
Like Waffles bring a lot of battleship setups, like dual battleships, dual Typhoons, dual Geddons, and I kind of like theirs. I think they're strong and like in 5-man setups, but I'm not sure they can match up to the Proteus and Astartes that Tuskers brought. And they have like a lot of Logifrigs I'm not really sure about in a bunch of setups.
Yeah, you know, I kind of agree with that. A Logifrigs and a lack of Lynx. Do you think that's going to hurt them in the long run, Apathy?
So I think that the battleships are just so many points. It really feels prohibitive on your lower end. For example, in that match we saw 2 Tech 1 battleships. Yeah, they're great, they're good, they've got a lot of utility, but you're restricted to a Celestis and 2 Inquisitors, and that's all you can bring. Whereas if you bring a more even setup in terms of points, so you got the command ship, the T2 Logi, then down to 2 Jackdaws and the Harpy, your weak link there is much stronger than the weak link in the Waffle setup. You know, their weakest tank ship is a Harpy compared to an Inquisitor. Very easy to kill an Inquisitor, T1 frigate. Harpy, it's got that T2 resist profile, it's got that MWD bloom bonus. I think that from a composition standpoint, battleships can be good, and I really would have liked to see what would have happened if, from the very get-go, Waffles had focused on just burning onto that Voltrix. So as we saw, they did manage to break it. I wonder what would happen if that had been their first prime, if they managed to get mutes on, if they managed to break it 30 seconds a minute before they did.
Yeah, definitely. You know, with that being said, though, Potney, if I was a Waffles Typhoon and I saw a Jackdaw coming right towards me and get in scramble at heavy newt range, you know, I'm going to think, yeah, I'm definitely going to shoot you and I'm going to primary you. Thank you for donating yourself to my cause. I'll take these points. I think it must have been kind of a rude awakening when, in switching to defense mode, it completely tanked no problem underneath the Bazzy reps. That's kind of sucks with Crew's application. I wonder if they were using precisions, or maybe having double webs or a target painter would have been useful. But tell me, Satonia, using the double battleship setup, as Apophany was kind of alluding to, you kind of lose a little bit of, you know, the full team getting fleshed out. What if those Typhoons were self-rep?
Well, I think they still held up pretty well, even with passive, with the passive armor plates that they had. I think they could have done maybe a bit better with active tanks, because the Tuskers team didn't actually have that much raw DPS. Like I think their whole setup had like less than 1,000 DPS. So like a large ancillary armor repairer could have probably tanked that.
Yeah, no, I agree. With the you know, showing that they could break the Vulture really early, taking the Vulture off the grid. What do they have for DPS after that? A Harpy, negligible, and then 2 Jackdaws, which do like a maximum of 275 heated DPS with Fury. And that's nothing. A Typhoon will laugh at that. You know, it's definitely would have been something easier to think about. And then, you know, you can throw out 2 Inquisitors. Maybe you can put in for something a little bit stronger. So, Gorski, if you were Waffles right now after what just happened, what kind of setup would you be thinking, knowing the Tusker history and their penchant for bringing these command ship, you know, Tech 2 Logi, double T3D setups?
I would probably keep going to the dual battleship setup and go with the Armageddon setup with the Vexor Navy issue. Because like right now it looks like their strongest setup to me. There's a ton of DPS and utility with the Armageddons and the Vexor Navy issue.
That's definitely true, but do you think that the Armageddons are going to have the ability to ever catch or apply news to Logis? I realize they have the range, 37k, which is nice, but they're also a lot slower than Typhoons.
I think that setup has enough. It should have enough DPS to break a ship under Logi reps with nukes on.
Okay. Apophany, tell me, if you were Tuskers, what would you be thinking coming into this next match now that you have one of your, you know, T3D setups gone? Would you bring another one, or would you maybe shake it up a bit?
I mean, I would really just go back to the setups Waffles can bring. Tuskers have shown that they're really good at understanding how the meta of the 5-man tournament works, right? So they're going to say, okay, Waffles have brought these number of setups. The Tuskers are probably prepared for, you know, a couple different things. And so if they just stick to what they know is their strongest setups, I feel they can go into this, just keep doing what they're doing in terms of just bringing ruggedly strong against anything setups, if you see what I mean.
No, I definitely see where you're coming from. And I think from a Tuskers point of view, that's a good way to look at it. As far as I'm concerned, from what they've shown in the past tournaments, they are the champions to beat, and no one's been able to step up to the plate so far, so they're probably in a pretty comfortable position, especially, you know, considering what happened last month. Although this fight, I'm really hoping that Waffles is going to bring something excellent, because that last fight was actually much, much closer than I thought it was going to be, just looking at it from the outset. Bay, how are the teams doing, and do we have an ETA for the next match?
Yeah, so I see one team in local. I imagine Logi Braze is about to move the next one. So we have a few minutes. So what setup do you guys think they might pick next? I'm gonna guess the Tuskers might bring the Sleipnir Vagabond, because that's a pretty brutal setup.
I think Vagabonds in tournament are hilarious, and it's interesting to me that both Waffles and Tuskers actually have a mirror setup of Sleipnir, double Vagabond, with 2 bursts. And if we could see a mirror matchup just to show raw piloting, assuming they have roughly similar fits, I think that would be really entertaining.
Yeah, those Vagabonds might be dual tank, you never know.
Exactly. So Tony, you want to weigh in?
Yeah, I think the Sleipnir setup's really strong. I think they still have the Confessor setup that they used, I believe, in the last series against Test, which was really strong. The Proteus and nearest to Confessor Griffin, or maybe I don't know if they had the Griffin or not last time. I think that maybe they swapped it out for something. I believe it was a Maulus last time.
Yeah, the ECM. You know, speaking of ECM in general, with the Alliance Tournament 13 just around the corner, ECM is going to be a huge, huge change and a really big shakeup in that meta. Not having scripted damps, not having scripted TDs certainly changes some stuff up, and I would assume that a lot of teams would consider just bringing raw ECM, which technically it isn't getting this quote-unquote nerf of not being able to script itself. Apophany, I know that you've been an AT commentator before. What are your thoughts on that?
Sorry, I just swallowed my own tongue. So my experience as an AT commentator is really, it was a very special experience, let me put it that way. What specifically do you want to know again, sorry?
Sorry, I was asking the Alliance Tournament 13. We have a lot of changes of ECM where TDs and damps in particular are getting their scripts taken away, while ECM from the Falcon, from the Blackbird, you know, from the Kaldari side, is not getting hit with this. How do you think that's going to shake it up? Because I personally think just looking at the AT that's going to be a huge game changer.
Yeah, right, sorry. So, this, I think, is going to have a couple weird effects on the meta. So, firstly, I don't think that damps and TDs are just gone and bad. They're still useful. They're just not crazy anymore. Excuse me, the police are coming for me. But, so, the thing about ECM is you got that RNG, but it means that everybody is going to be looking at ECM teams to be strong. They were dominant a couple tournaments ago until people realized range damps, you know, with the scripts, you can just stop ECM from coming in. And ECM ships tend to be very poorly tanked, they have to get in close, and then they just die, right? But this means that people are going to be expecting ECM teams. So one of the ways that you can kind of deal with ECM teams is going for a drone-based team. Because if you jam the ship that's got its drones out and doing stuff, the drones don't stop doing what they're doing. Drones got the nerf. So,
would you still use the drones, though? That's the question. Tech 1 drones.
Are drones now better because of that, even though they then got nerfed? Like, I think that's going to be a really interesting choice. And then how we see people counter ECM teams and how we see people counter that. And it's just going to be amazing. This changing rule set really changed things up. Really is going to reward the teams that have those great theory crafters.
Oh, most definitely. And I think it's going to provide a bigger shakeup in the meta than I think almost any other rule change that I saw. Gorski, would you tend to agree or not really?
With the drone rule change, or what?
No, I mean compared to all the different changes that AT13 has compared to last ATs, do you think that the ECM changes are going to provide the biggest boom to meta shifting, or do you think it's another one of the rules like Tech 1 drones or no Bastion module? What strikes you?
I think Tech 1 drones probably, because last year was like only rattlesnake setups in the first matches. So
yeah,
probably something more creative this time. But like dams are still going to be strong.
Okay, I feel you. So Tonya, do you have any thoughts regarding AT12, AT13 rule changes? Because I mean they are pretty huge, at least from a meta standpoint.
Yeah, for ECM, I think there's still a lot of good counters to ECM, like the sensor integrity gang link, which got boosted in the Odyssey expansion, and the command ship changes that happened. We're also seeing a lot more tactical destroyers now that have the ECCM subsystem as well, which could play a big part in countering ECM teams.
Yeah, you know, I actually didn't even think of that. ECCM inside of sniper mode, or like remote ECCM, certainly is going to be a huge boon to countering the ECM threat, which Apotheny was talking about, along with drones. I just cannot wait for AT13 to come up, because it's certainly going to be an interesting season. Bay, can you give me an update on the teams?
Yep, they are just leaving on grid now. So while they do that, and while we get them all locked up and ready to hand over to Apotheny and Gorski to commentate this one, I will just run down exactly what we're doing here in terms of the format. I don't think I really explained that at the beginning. So the Inventy Collides is inspired, the matchup is inspired by the Worlds Collide event. If you missed that, go back and look on CCP's YouTube page. I think you'll find it there. So it's a best of 5 clash between the Camel Empire and... my memory's gone blank. Someone remind me. The Chinese team.
City of Angels.
Thank you, City of Angels. So they won their tournament on their server, and they were basically brought together at FanFest to have a best of 5 matchup, which was pretty brilliant. It was in a live environment, so we kind of been inspired by that. We've taken that on as a format. And we tweaked a little bit of the rules here with the help of Bob Shaftoes to keep up to date with the meta. Things like T3 destroyers weren't invented then, and trying to bring things in line with tournaments as they progress, so we can change things around a little bit. So we're just looking at the teams here. They are always going to be ready. Sorry. So yeah, I'm going to hand over to Apotheny and Gorski, who are going to commentate this match for you. It looks like it should be a good one. Yeah, if you can take it away, guys. And we're going to have a countdown on local starting now.
So we have Waffles up against Tuskers again, and they have brought a setup with Vagabonds and Bursts and a Sleipnir. Right from the outset, I think the Vagabond setup looks favored here. They have a lot of like hacks with the ECM strength against the Griffin, so it shouldn't be that big of a problem. And I think they have enough DPS to kill most of the stuff here on the field. What do you think, Apotheny?
I think it's going to be a really cool cross setup. Like seeing the bursts in action again. We mentioned last time the bursts, the T1 Logi frigates can be a bit soft. Those confessors are going to be utterly fantastic dealing with any small support there. Really, I just want to see the match start, to be honest. Let's get this going. We mentioned last time the T1 Logi frigates can be a bit soft.
Pretty sure we have a minute left though.
Sorry. I'm currently desperately trying to get into a ship that can lock all the targets so I can see the health bars.
Whatever. I can tell you what's going on. But I'll probably see Waffles win or get burned. Pretty sure we have a minute left though. And the match is on, and we see Tuskers is burning away a bit, while Waffles just sitting there, like, launching drones, not really shooting anything yet. But I'll probably see Waffles win or get burned. And the match is on, and we see the Jackdaw, a confessor of Battle Dog, like, burning in a bit towards the Sleipnirs, and he's instantly taking damage now. He's in like half shield-ish, but he's armor tank, so he should be fine. And he catches reps right now. Let's see how he tanks this.
Yeah, it looks like one of the Tuskers ships got blapped right off the bat there. Sorry, I'm just taking over for Bosny while he sorts his ship out. Let me know when you sorted Bosny, we'll switch back over. So yeah, Battle Dog in the Confessor for Tuskers. He's taking a pounding now. Looks like mostly from drones. Oh, Sleipnir's caught. This would be interesting. Okay, yeah, so Battle Dog in the Tuskers has still got some drones on him. It looks like Latro in the Inuris is taking a little bit of damage now. At this point, Waffle's looking pretty good position with Tuskers losing his ship right off the bat there.
Yes. Right, sorry, I'm with you. Tuskers taking tons and tons of damage, not much getting applied to Swig. Sorry guys, I wasn't ready to be commentating until about 5 seconds ago. So here we go. We've got rep bots now on to the Tuskers Confessor, getting him back up to holding nicely, but the Aneros is slowly burning through. Looks like Waffles are taxing the Logi as much as possible. The Aneros is taking a lot of damage. However, the Sleipnir finally seeing damage coming from the Tuskers team, but is it too little too late?
Yeah, it looks like right now the Aneros is breaking fairly fast. He's still like holding on barely with his active tank, and
yeah, I feel how soon is that going to run out there? Doesn't look like he's tackled now at the moment. He's he is looking the wrong thing. He's just getting tons and tons of damage. There's a big rep cycle. Nice. It looks like he's being okay. Got damage going on to the Vagabond of Drew Essex now, seeing if he's taking him down. But you know, the Sleipnir's taking damage as well. Got a bit of slip damage from the Tuskers. This is very uncharacteristic of them.
yeah, the X-Lay speeds on those Vagabonds should hold for a while longer, but I'm not sure that the Aneros is tanking very well so far. They probably need some newts on him. I don't think they have enough newts to like newt him out.
Yeah, I mean that Aneros is just tanking like a legend, but how long can he keep that up though? As you say, I do wonder if the Sleipnir does have any newts fit, or if it's just guns and links as you'd expect. We do see some energy neutralizing going on. It looks like Confessors have a Noz fit in their highs. Currently, each team is just testing each other's tanks, trying to break the other, trying to reposition, trying to get the tackle down as good as possible.
Like, Aneros is free now, burning away, so he should be fine.
Ooh, yeah, looks like the Tuskers are pulling this one back, but they are down a ship. Tuskers need to make something happen, or Waffles are going to win on points.
Yeah, some great screening from those Confessors, keeping like the Vagabonds in place and not like able to burn.
Yeah,
very lucky.
Burst of Swig, Night Chassis goes down. Tuskers finally get a kill, and that is half the wrapping power of the Swig team gone. This means that the other burst is in a lot of trouble. As soon as they catch him, here he goes, starting to take damage already, burning through his shield tank.
Almost in structure. The Aneros is going down.
Both teams are about to lose their Logi, but the Aneros is just still hanging on by the skin of his teeth, down in low armor. We've now got the Swig drones going onto the Aneros, all of them now. A few of them weren't there, doing a ton of damage. He's going down there, desperately trying to kill him, desperately trying to call it back. Let's see where the damage goes for the Tuskers. Looks like the Waffles team Just trying to chase
Onerous is in
down.
low strike. Onerous is down.
There we
Onerous is
go.
down.
Oh, there's the Onerous. You're absolutely right.
So yeah, the Confessors should fall pretty fast now with no Lodges left.
Yeah, those Confessors' Timeless Earth is limited. They can switch into defensive to try and tank for as long as possible, or they can switch into active tank mode to try and burn away. But it looks like they are pretty tackled at the moment. The Vagabonds holding down Battles as he enters into structure. Yeah, there he goes down. Looks like Swig may just be able to pull it back to bring it back to 1-1.
There's a lot of split DPS from Tuskers side. Both Vagabonds and the Sleipnir is taking a bit of damage here.
Yeah, we saw that earlier in the match. I don't know what's happened to Tuskers. Usually they're so good with their target fire. I mean, these guys spend their entire time on Tranquility being small gang and solo experts. So seeing this from them, they seem to just be a little bit shaken. I would love to hear their comms right now.
And there goes the second Confessor.
Yeah, this Proteus, I'm interested to see whether it's just a huge, massive brick plate or whether it's active tanked. But, I mean, Waffles really doing well, and it was a bloody fight for sure. They had to lose their burst to get it, but Waffles are back with a win.
Yeah, it looks like a standard brick tanked Proteus, and I think the Sleipnir, the Vagabond, should be able to burn away from, and he'll probably die before.
Yeah, I mean, each of those 3 ships,
yeah,
2 Vagabonds and the Sleipnir, they're going to have a great local tank. 2 of them can tackle the Proteus, while the one that's getting low, if it is, can just burn off. Great play here by Swig, really pulling it back, really showing that they are a contender. They are someone who can challenge the throne of the Tuskers in Eve NT Collides.
Yeah, they're certainly doing better than Tuskers.
Wow, shots fired.
And we can see that Waffles has mastered the use of Vagabonds in tournaments compared to a bigger brother.
Yeah, let's not talk about GL's use of Vagabonds at the end of the Alliance Tournament 12. We tried to strike it from our memory. Anyway, Suleiman has finally burning through the last of his armor down into structure. I mean, Gorski, what do you think of the Waffles setup here?
Well, I think it's a pretty standard like Minotaur rush setup. You see both teams has brought a similar setups, like exactly similar ships. And it's a strong ship setup. Like, I'm not sure about the Vagabond, but they're doing fine this match. And they've got very tanky ships and they can attack and stuff and hold them down.
Yeah, they're lovely. I mean, they tend to struggle in the 12-man setup, the Alliance tournament.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they don't have the buffer. They're in the danger zone of getting volleyed. But when you're in low numbers, down to the 5-man, or in Alliance tournament when a couple ships have died on either side, as long as it's not the Vagabonds, then they really do shine with that great active tank.
And Suleiman goes down and the match is over.
Okay, so I guess we will soon be handing it back to the analysis desk.
Cheers, probably. Thank you very. Sorry about the slight technical issue there. Let me just explain what happened there because it's always interesting. So the way it's working is the commentators are in the arena with the teams in covert op ships. Fosny was moved in hastily because he arrived because he was busy in real life until the beginning of the match. So he didn't actually have an ability to lock ships with his ship, so I had to quickly lock ships with them, which is a bit frantic. So wow, that was a pretty cool match. Brilliant to see Waffles take a match. A lot of people were predicting 3-0 crush for Tuskers here. I bet a bunch of people just made a bunch of money on Eve bet there, just throwing it on Waffles there, trying to get lucky, and they did. That was a fantastic match. So just before I hand you over to Chirsa to chat about that match and the Alliance 13 rules, and how that might affect the meta this year. I'm going to give you the next question. So to win 100 million ISK EveBet credits, you have to X up in the channel #Eve_NT Collides on Tranquility in game. And the question is going to be, what is the date of the next EVE-NT Nottingham? What is the date of the next EVE-NT Nottingham? It's on the forums, you can find it pretty easily, or you can find it by going to our website. For anyone who's watching who doesn't know, it's a new event. It'll be the 3rd meetup in September in Nottingham, UK, and we've got a lot of content going on, which we might chat about later. So I'll hand you over to Chirsa now to break down that pretty exciting match.
All I have to say is, wow, finally, Tuskers actually losing a ship finally losing a game. It's been a while, probably stings. I really was taken aback by the effectiveness of Vagabonds. Definitely the Minmatar Rush setup versus the tried and true Tuskers double T3D setup. And I have to say, Tuskers, I think, flew that as well as they could. And I think that the beginning of the match, things really went well for them. They had Confessors immediately going onto the Slipnir. They had it tackled. Proteus then came over, re-tackled the Slipnir. Losing the Griffin early, while annoying, wasn't huge. But once that Slipnir was locked down, it was 2 Confessors versus 2 Vagabonds, and those Confessors had a Logi. That Logi actually escaped the Vagabonds as both of them were captured and scrammed by the Confessors, but died under a fucking horde of drones and long-range barrage fire. And that's when the match turned, because at that point you have a Confessor brawling a Vagabond by itself, another Confessor brawling a Vagabond by itself, and a Slipnir easily tanking a Proteus. And the match fell apart right then, but it was so close, so close. Latronicus was so close to pulling it out. I think his cap just failed right at the end there, didn't have any more ammo left in his AAR, and fell apart to the drone swarm and long-range barrage DPS. Tell me, Satonia, since you were watching as well, any turning point in the match? Did you get the same impression? Did I miss something?
Yeah, I think that was pretty much the match. I think the Tuskers did a very good job screening for Electronicus. It just wasn't enough to keep it up under the pressure of the fall of bonus barrage on Vagabonds and Sleipnirs. I think all of the Sleipnirs and the Vagabonds had extra large ancillary shield boosters as well. So even though they did lose the bursts quite quickly in this match, they still had pretty strong active tanks, especially in this 5-man format. The ancillary shield boosters are really strong.
Most certainly, most certainly. You know, I was just thinking as well that the Waffles completely counterpicked Tuskers on this match, just because Tech 2 Minmatar resists versus a team that's locked with most of their damage in EM Therm out of the Confessors. Going to be kind of difficult to break those tanks. You know, Gorski, how did you feel about the general setup of having XLASBs and dual bursts? Do you think you really need the dual bursts? Would they have kept a Vagabond up if it ran dry on its cap boosters? Do you think maybe they could have switched it out for something more effective?
I'm actually not that sure they were very useful in that match, but at least like they lured some of the Tusker ships away and had them focus DPS on their Logifrigs that apparently just ripped themselves. And like Vagabonds and the Sleipnirs with the rep bonus and XL speed and can tank a ton of the DPS, and they'll probably tank the entire team right there just by themselves pretty easily.
Oh, most definitely. Apothony, if you had a choice, would you replace the Vagas in that setup for maybe something a little bit more brawly, like a Deimos? Obviously, then you're switching over to armor, but would you do you think Vagabonds actually fit well in this 5-man setup in a Minmatar Rush style, or do you think that there's maybe a better ship that would fit better in a Rush format?
I think that Vagas are beautiful. I mean, I think the Deimos setup is super strong, but I think that type of setup, if you are already using a Deimos in another setup in this format, then the Vagabonds are a great choice as well. You go into shield, you get that extra speed over an armor setup, typically speaking. You can spare a low for a nano potentially or something like that. XLASBs are just amazing. But yeah, I think that the Vagabonds are fantastic.
Definitely. In this 5-man, they just really prove their worth. Now, the real question is after seeing this complete slap in the face, are Tuskers going to turn around and bring their Vagabond Sleipnir setup or not? Just in case our viewers are unaware, once you win with a setup in an EVE-NT Collides, you can no longer bring it. So the Tuskers, if they so wish, can bring that Confessor setup with the Proteus, or they can bring something new, while Waffles have just lost their Minmatar Rush setup, which was, you know, Sleipnir's double Vega. You know, Satonia, if you were in the team captain's shoes, how would you try and out-metagame them this time?
Oh, I'm not too sure. All of the Tusker setups are very similar, with command ship or a tech-free cruiser which can run links, aside from the setup that they had banned, of course, and then Logi, and then usually just like tanky stuff, T3Ds or assault frigates, that sort of things.
Yeah, you know, that being said, the Tuskers have an alternate rush, which is, you know, Astarte, dual Deimos, dual Navitus, which is, again, very similar to Slip, double Vega. talk to me, Gorski. What do you think if you were in Tuskers' shoes, now finally getting a first loss after quite a while and showing that their T3D setups aren't invincible? What would you be thinking coming into the next match?
I would probably predict that the Waffles is going to bring either their Gila setup or their Armageddon setup, because I think they're the two strongest ones they have. So I would probably look into going with my own Sleipnir Vagabond setup there, since they should counter the Armageddons, and they might do well.
So hacks definitely have nice capacitor, but do you think that a hack is going to be able to survive and move around with an MWD underneath those, super long range Armageddon nudes? I should probably be asking Satonia this question because he is the Armageddon master, but Gorski, what do you think?
I think the Vagabonds should be fast enough to be able to burn in and get the scram, and if they have a NOS on, of course, and get the tackle and hold down Armageddon. But like you said, it's gonna be tricky. Like, they could get muted out and just sit there and do nothing.
That's true. That's true. Satonia, you've flown the Geddon quite a bit. How would you fare in its chances, at least in this 5-man setup, versus double hacks and a command ship? Do you see them nuding off the hacks easily, or no?
I think they can nute heavy assault cruisers pretty effectively, especially if they cycle their newts. It's worth pointing out that a lot of the Tuskers setups are kind of brawling, I guess, unless they're rail Astartes and rail Dymases. So they will probably have to come into the Armageddon newt range.
That's very true. With newts in general, Apophany, I know that, of course, in the last Alliance tournament they weren't that big. Do you see a trend when you look at Alliance tournaments and having flagship Balgorns, but not really seeing a lot of newts outside of that in tournament play? Do you think that may change this year? Do you think newts aren't as powerful in a tournament setup? What are your thoughts?
So I think that at the end of last year, where we had a lot of heavy Marauder setups, and the Tinker setups were really popular as well, I was expecting to come into Alliance Tournament 13 where newts would be the thing, because pretty much the only way to kill a Marauder in Bastion with really not that many ships is to kill its cap. Its cap is its life, similar to a carrier in Triage. So I was expecting newts to become heavy. However, Bastion has been banned, so that takes that away. Newts are still exceptionally strong. I think they're a really good choice against, obviously, certain weapon systems like lasers or even hybrids that are very cap heavy. They're very especially strong against armor teams who must use cap for their local reps, compared to shield teams who can run ASB charges, for example, so it's a little better against armor. But I mean, I really think that newts are a very interesting form of warfare, in that they're very aggressive, but they're not damage aggressive. They're not big, heavy guns, and I think a lot of teams can underestimate the power of the newt.
Yeah, I'm glad that we're talking about power of newts, just because thinking back and just looking back, EVE-NT hasn't really seen a very powerful newt setup. When you see a lot of the ships that are known to bring newts, Augur Navies really aren't seen in our setups here that have that double high slot. Hurricanes, Hurricane Fleet issues, and Sleipnirs as well. Those are all placed for links and never newts, and I definitely can see, looking at it from a theory crafter point of view, the mix of, do I fit links here or do I fit newts? And to me, I think it's a pretty easy decision to go links every single time. Gorski, what do you think? Is there any good type of argument for newts on a ship other than an Armageddon, or maybe a Curse?
I think curses could be really strong in tournament meta. I think like Camelot's brought them in many matches, like to supplement their Minotaur Rush setups. But on other ships, like, I'm not sure. There's mostly something else you want to put there, like links, you said. They provide more utility for your entire fleet instead.
All right, I understand. So, Tony, do you see it any differently, or would you tend to agree with Gorski's assessment?
I tend to agree. I think there are some command ships and other ships that can have utility high newt slots, like Vexers, VNIs, Ishtars, those sort of ships that don't really need the highest for damage. And one thing to point out is that with Marauders, a lot cheaper now, but with Bastion banned, Marauders have 4 utility high slots, so could see a lot of neuting Marauders.
Yeah, most certainly. And newts are probably one of the greatest things to shut down smaller ships if you can just alpha their cap, so that's definitely something to talk about as far as, the proliferation of, T3Ds and all the new ships that CCP's released recently. Bay, just turning back to our space battle arena, what's the status on our teams and how are things looking?
Yeah, we're looking in about 3 or 4 minutes. We're going to be ready for the next match. We've got all the competitors are in local now, and they're warping onto the grid. I'm super excited about the next match. Yep, so coming up shortly. Soon
Awesome,
TM.
Awesome, soon TM. Cool. I'm not sure if any of the viewers that are watching now are aware, but the prize ships for Alliance Tournament 13 have been released. And, I had to say, I was scratching my head for a little while on some of their bonuses, starting off with the frigates. If someone can remind me of the name, I'm drawing a blank. Yes, the Imp. An afterburner bonus and a micro warp drive bonus seems very strange to me. Dual prop ships are overrated, I guess. I don't know. I guess I can see fitting a dual prop on a Rhaenys, but I fly the Phantasm frequently, or the Succubus, and I wouldn't want to put double props on it. Am I missing something here, or is there some like hidden agenda that I'm not seeing as far as the meta?
Well, I kind of agree. You tend to be fast enough with just an AB on those ships, and especially with a tournament ship like that, they're going to be flown with high-grade snakes and implants and links and whatever, and have A-type autoburners. They're going to be fast enough with just the AB running.
And definitely, and mid-slots are so precious to a ship. Throwing in another form of propulsion, I'm not sure it's always necessary.
I think it's more because it's just an interceptor, so it's just gaining that roll bonus because interceptors can do that thing. If you've got an afterburner bonus interceptor, you're not really losing anything by having the MWD bonus there. It's just like your appendix. It's vestigial.
Definitely. We got teams warping in here now. We have the interesting double Armageddon setup here brought by the Waffles. I'm very excited about that with the Vexor Navy. Double Navitas, not so hot on it. Navitas have warped in at range. Geddons have warped in at 30. Apothony, do you want to break down what the Tuskers have brought?
If you just give me, I'll just butt in there. Sorry about that, guys. Yes, we're just looking at the teams now, so we are going to be cut into the next match soon, so we don't want to keep our viewers waiting. So, if Chasseur and Suetonia are going to commentate this one again, like the first match, and we're going to get a countdown in local fairly soon. Just want to say, the 7 billion bet on this series so far on evebet.com, I think just based on the last match, I think the odds are looking really good. I think that's all I'll say for it right now. But so yeah, it looks like we are ready to go. So I'm going to hand over to the commentators now for our next match. Will just be about to start, and the countdown will start rolling soon. So just over to you.
All right. So just to repeat myself really quickly. The Waffles team bringing the much vaulted double Armageddon Vexor Navy issue with dual Navitas. They warped in at 30 with their main fleet Navitas at range at 50k, which I think is the best way to do it. Obviously, the Geddons are looking to get in close. So, Tonya, can you break down what Tuskers have brought to the field?
Tuskers have brought an Absolution, a Sacrilege, 2 Heretics, and an Augurer. It'd be interesting to see this setup against the Armageddons, because the Heretics can stay out of nuke range, and depending on how the Absolution is fit, if the Absolution has beams, it might be able to avoid the Armageddons too. But I think the Sacrilege is going to have to brawl them down if it needs to be effective, and it could potentially get shut down by those Armageddons.
Yeah, most certainly. I think the Navitas are going to fall very, very quickly. Heretics and their light missile damage, as well as their nice light missile range, are going to make it difficult for the Navitas to stay within rep range of the Geddons and the VNI while still staying outside of Heretics. Match is just starting now, and it's going to be interesting to see how the match is going to play out here. I wonder if those Geddons have an MJD, and if they do, are they going to use it to maybe have some surprises later in the match? Right now, everyone seems to be playing fairly passively. Geddons are slow boating and just releasing drones. The Heretics are immediately moving over to the side, I'm assuming, to try and get a snipe in on the Navitas, and there's really nothing that Waffles are going to be able to do to stop these Tuskers Heretics from killing their Logi. What do you think, Suetonia?
Yeah, the Absolution is beam fit, and it's actually sniping one of the Navitises right now, but it looks like it's kind of okay at the moment to just enter the armor. Um, the Waffles are trying to rule them down, and it'll be interesting to see how long the Tuskers can kite these Armageddons and Vexes. Vex and Navy issue. I think even if they lose the Navitas here, the Vex and Navy issue and 2 Armageddons is still a very strong core, as opposed to the Tuskers, which have a lot weaker core ships but stronger support ships.
Yeah, definitely. You know, I just want to point out right now, both Armageddons and the Vexor Navy, they're not moving with a prop mod at all. They are slow boating. And I think if they do not have a prop mod, or if they're choosing not to move, that's going to be an absolutely huge mistake, because they're going to be kited all day. And if one of these Navitas go down, it's going to be a long, slow, and painful death for their team comp, because they're just going to be absolutely kited by Absolutions and Heretics.
Yeah, one of the Armageddons was micro-warp driving earlier, so they do have a micro-warp drive fit at least. But maybe they're hanging back just to try and pressure and force the Heretics to stay away from the Navitases. Although the Heretics, in theory, should be able to pressure the Navitases without entering heavy newt range.
Yeah, most definitely. I think it's going to be very telling here if both the Heretics can get into range of the Navitas and apply damage. Right now, the Navitas are holding extremely comfortably, and they're taking 0 damage. And if they can actually hold underneath Heretic damage, then this fight is going to get a hell of a lot harder for the Tuskers, because their entire kite setup is going to basically rely on being able to slowly grind down the huge tank that the Armageddons are going to have while staying outside of that deadly newt range. Right now, Heretic is getting absolutely blobbed by a drone horde, and he needs to be pretty careful, but he was receiving reps, so we'll see if he'll be able to hold underneath this warrior swarm.
Yeah, the Ogres took a little bit of residual damage too, but it looks like he's perfectly fine. He's regenerating shields again. Jax is still taking some more damage in his Heretic, but I think the Ogre should be able to keep him up through this.
Yeah, most definitely. You know, with the nice Heretic armor as well as their sig reduction bonus, they should be able to do fine here. You know, I'm still concerned why both of the Navitas are still flying around for the Waffles team and basically are not taking a lot of damage. It seems to me that the Heretics are holding back for the most part. You know, Anuka right now is in not even close to the range to even be hitting the Navitas, so I wonder why they're being so hesitant.
Yeah, and Silliman is actually shooting drones that are on the Heretic. It'd be very interesting because Test had a drone set up with 2 rattlesnakes, and they lost that match because the Tuskers killed all their drones. And it'd be interesting to see if maybe Tuskers are trying to do the same thing to Waffles here, where they're trying to bait out drones and kill their drones and defang their setup before moving in.
You know, if they're going to take the long approach, the long game like this, you know, that's certainly something. It might even be safer, but, you know, it's interesting. Even if they are just deciding to kill drones, why Navitas shouldn't be taking more damage. But, you know, I guess this is how it's just going to be. The Geddons are still just slow boating. I think one has an AB. I think that might be AB because he's only going 400 MS. That's very slow here. I don't think these Geddons, unless they're packing an MJD and can use it very in a sneaky way, are going to be getting on top of this Tuskers team anytime soon. I have to say that.
Yeah, we're seeing just Tuskers are just shooting the drones, and Waffles are calling in their drones now. They actually don't have many drones out left on the field.
I wonder if Tuskers have gotten shaken after losing a single match. I highly doubt it. They're a team with a ton of tournament experience, but they seem to be playing very scared.
Now onto an absolution of Suleiman, so whether or not that'll be enough to turn off his micro-warp drive so the Armageddons can advance and approach him. The Armageddons are micro-warp driving now, as you can see, 621 meters per second.
Yeah, Absolution just accelerated to 1200, 1300 MS though, so I don't think they're still worried. He still has more than half of his cap left, even under what I'm assuming was a full newt cycle, all the rack gone. So, you know, with that much speed differential, unless these Geddons can really push them up against the side of the arena soon, I think we're going to be in some trouble here. They're very slow.
Yeah,
that being said,
Geddon taking damage now. The Navitas are currently out of range, but I suppose they'll just come in while the Heretics are shooting the Armageddon.
Yeah, definitely. I'd say that both Navitas pilots are playing the role very correctly. They're playing very safe. They're playing back, and not trying to go in with the get-ins too close. They're just staying right behind them. You know, I think Tuskers really needs to start utilizing these heretics and taking down these Navitas, because grinding through these get-ins with the cap-hungry guns of the Absolution providing most of their damage, you know, if a mistake is made, you know, this could be a huge problem for them. And we've already had 5 minutes into the match already.
Yeah, we're seeing Berserker 1s launched now, but not a lot is actually happening. I think the Tuskers are just trying to bait drones out, and they're trying to kill drones. It'd be interesting. This match might actually end in a stalemate with a tie between the two if this continues. So saying that, the Navita just took a lot of volley damage from a heretic.
Yeah, no, I would expect to see the Navitas dropping quickly once heretics can get and actually apply their damage on. The volley damage that heretic can mount is really, really huge. Sully is sitting next to the boundary, but you know, they're just pulling back, playing super defensive. Finally, Muhu is taking some damage in his Navitas. I think the Tuskers heretics are finally moving in to do some damage, but it still seems to me that they're playing awfully scared. You know, Geddons only have 37, 38k newt range, and the heretics should be able to outrange that. You know, with CN missiles, it's 60k. They need to just bite the bullet and get in there. I think donating and trading a heretic for both Navitas would be very much worth it.
We see some Berserker 1s chasing a heretic now, and Tuskers are swapped to shooting them, but they are killing the Berserker 1s. I don't think Berserkers will be able to kill a heretic with its explosive resist very quickly.
Just to barge in there, just to clarify a rule. So me and Buck consider what happens if no ship dies in 10 minutes. We didn't think that would happen really, because you can't tinker, but the ruling we decided on was that the match would essentially be a stalemate, and both setups would be removed from the team's pools, and they'd have to replay the match. So we might be looking at that here. So the Tuskers and the Waffles would both lose these setups and have to replay this match.
Yeah, the Augur is taking a lot of damage now, and the Heretic is taking damage too. There's a bit of split fire. I guess that's because of the drones. It'd be interesting to see if this Augur goes down or if he's just bait tanking here, because he is half armor now. And if they lose the Augur, then the Heretics will die as well. It just depends if Tuskers can defang these Armageddons fast enough.
Yeah, definitely. You know, the Heretics are finally now moving in and applying damage to both of the Navitas as fast as they can, and it seems that they're actually able to hold. You know, the Navitas are AB fit, and maybe just reducing a small amount of the DPS from the LMLs, but at the end of the day, they're holding, and if they hold through this, it's going to be dangerous for Tuskers, because at that point, you know, a single mistake and Augur gets neuted or a Heretic gets neuted and the MWD shuts off, and those are going to be some points, and it's looking like it's going to come down to that point. Oh, and a Sacrilege is finally going in. He's going under full nuke pressure right now. Seems to be caught, or I shouldn't say caught, but burning into the Geddons. It seems like they're going to try and go all in here and apply pressure to one of the Geddons and kill a Navitas with the Heretics on the side, because they're going to have to make a decision at some point. Do the Navitas rep themselves?
If they can snipe off this Navitas before the countdown ends, and they've only got about a minute and a half left, they will be able to win this match.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if Tuskers are going to go in for that. It's absolutely a minute left. It's going to come down to the wire here. Man, I'm just really impressed that the Navitas are still holding. I'm very impressed by that. Sack is still doing fine, hasn't even taken any damage yet. Or it's just
it does have quite a lot of drones on it now, and it's getting the Armageddon cap pressure put onto it. Although I think a Sacrilege, even if it is neutered out, it still has a very good base resistances, and it also has an armor resistance bonus on the hull. So it might be able to hold even without any of its hardness running.
Yeah, that's definitely true. He is slowly coming down here, and with all the nude pressure, any additional hardeners he has might actually get turned off, which may be the difference that we need here, because this match has been very, very slow. 15 seconds left, though. I'm not seeing any ship going down quickly enough to really going to be calling something super decided. You know, I'm surprised that they didn't try an all-in a Navitas.
They're swapping to the other Navitas now.
Yeah, can Nike hold? That's the question. It's going to be Nike and Moop right now.
That's it. It's a draw.
So it's a draw. That's something I have yet to see in Event T. A team unable to kill another ship from another. So, you know, like Bay was explaining earlier, guys, now that that's over with, both of these are going to get canceled out, not going to be able to bring it, and we're just going to reset the match, and they'll be forced to bring a completely another setup. You know, that was very, very interesting to me as far as setup goes, that two Heretics were unable to break the Navitas. I wonder how those Navitas were fit so strongly, you know, certainly with an AB, but, you know, that was actually very, very impressive. What did you think, Gorski, since you were watching from the side?
I think this match was pretty slow. I think the Geddons probably should have been a bit more aggressive with their news, like they have to get in closer. And yeah, I didn't really like the match, I have to admit.
Yeah, no, it was very, very slow. I wish the Geddons may have had like an MJD or something where they could have tried to, you know, outgain them, because, you know, with their long newt range, if you get 60k, even 50k away from, excuse me, 60k away from Armageddon, it can MJD and be very close to newt range on you. It's something dangerous like that. I just didn't think that the Waffles had enough mobility with their Geddons to really fully apply their amazing newt potential. What do you think, Satonia?
Yeah, I think the Armageddon should have been more aggressive. They held back with the back line of the Navitases, which had afterburners, and they didn't really move too far off the beacon from the center of the arena. I think they should have pressured the Tuskers team more and sort of tried to push them up against the edge of the arena.
Yeah, Apothony, you know, what did you think of that match? You know, it felt to me that Tuskers were playing really scared. I'm not sure if they got too unsteady after that slap in the face and that complete shutdown last match, but what did you see?
I think the Tuskers played it right, because when I saw the two teams coming, I was like, okay, Waffles newt the Augurer and the Absolution, DPS goes away, the Logi dies, and Waffles just win. But staying back, and with Waffles not chasing them, they can kill the drones, kill incoming DPS, and just slowly work their way through the Waffles team. It was weird, and it was interesting. I kind of wish the Vexor Navy issue of the Waffles team was something that could have really done more work in terms of holding something down for the Armageddons to really get on top of. The Armageddons had a DLA fit, they had a very small number of newts fit, and they had those missile launchers, as we saw. I think that if you, like, this will probably sound awful, but if you kind of lose the DLA and focus more on having the team able to get within that magic 39k, whatever it is, range of the Armageddon, and you focus on being able to brawl it out, then you're going to be able to do a lot better. Because I think that these T1 drones, you know, if you've got the really common T3Ds or the Heretic, they're just going to die, and you're going to lose a lot of your DPS. So go with the other advantage of the ship, I think, in this case.
Yeah, you know, I agree with that wholeheartedly. I think that Waffles was very short-sighted in bringing a setup that had no way to force the fight. They had no way to jump on you and say, hey, you know, we are ramming you. You have to make a decision. We're bringing the fight to you. They had a fight. They had a setup which, while very strong, was very passive. They needed to be aggressed upon. They were way too defensive. I definitely agree with the Vexor Navy issue. MWD or 100 MN AB. They're very fast. Could have ran in there and held that Augurer down, or even gotten the Sacrilege, or even, you know, any of the big ships. Those Armageddons could have gotten there. They could have gotten the newts on, and the fight would have been over. And it would have been over quickly. Instead, what you had was this, you know, dancing back and forth of a kiting team that's not going to be caught by a team that has no way to force an engagement, and we were kind of left with the snooze fest of that match. You know, given the points that you're left with, would have you considered trading both of those Logifrigs for something a little bit more robust, maybe like a Vengeance, you know, something that you can run in there to hold something down to get the fight started? You know, would that be a consideration you would think about, Satonia, or did you really like the Navitas?
I don't think the Navitas did too much in this case. I think the Armageddons would maybe be better if they had like an active tank or something like that, although it's a bit more similar to the Typhoons they used in the first setup they brought. I have a question for you, Chesh. So who do you think loses out most in this stalemate? Which team do you think is at a bigger disadvantage in losing the setups that they brought?
You know, I'm going to be straight with you. I think that Waffles got completely screwed with this double setup. You know, that Armageddon team, you know, as Gorski had said earlier, and I agree with him, was one of their strongest setups. The only thing that it's lacking is the ability to have a ship to get out to the other enemy side, grab a hold of the Logi, grab a hold of a big ticket, command ship, so that way the get-ins can get there. And I think them losing this is going to be a huge break to their diversity that they're going to be able to bring in the next few matches. Tuskers, on the other hand, again, that setup, while not bad, I don't think it was one of their strongest ones. So I think in the end here, Tuskers came out on top unintentionally, but I definitely thought the get-ins were one of the best things that the Waffles had going for them. Do you see it the same way, or how are your thoughts, Antonia?
Yeah, I agree. I think the Armageddons would have hard countered a lot of the Waffle setups, like the Stepnir Vagabond mirror that they have, and as well as the Proteus setup, and possibly the Astartean Diamond setup too, if they were more brawling rather than rail fit.
Yeah, definitely. Bay, can you tell me what the status is for our team captains?
Yeah. So they're just reshipping right now, rapidly. They've both been brilliant so far. It's really intense pressure. I don't know. I'm sure some people watching. I know for sure that most of the commentators here have flown in Alliance Tournament matches. Normally in the Alliance Tournament, you get a couple of hours, or it picks up towards the finals between each match to relax and to grab new ships and to come up with a strategy. These guys are being put into ships. They're getting teleported back to the system. They straight away got to pick a ship, get back into space really, really fast. So they're doing a really, really great job. That's really intense, and there's kind of an extra pressure. And as the series goes on, I think we might see one of the teams find that more difficult than the others. I know Tuskers have got more experience doing that, particularly their team captain Sully's taken part in a number of tournaments. Before we go on to maybe chat about the Alliance tournament rules changes, we're just going to give a shout out for another prize. In terms of, unfortunately, I hadn't actually planned for a draw. I mean, I thought about it a long time ago. There's a possibility, but in a 5v5 setup where there's no tinkers or anything, I honestly thought it wouldn't happen. So, but it has, and Eva's full of surprises. So EveBet has cancelled that match. I'm not sure if they'll get time to put in the next match up, unfortunately. So you should have had all of your EveBet credit refunded for that one, but the series as a whole, you can still bet on that, and also the forthcoming matches. So shout out if you want to win 100 million ISK EveBet credit, you have to simply, and a lot of these questions come from the commentators, so you have to simply answer this very easy question. What is the only named system in Syndicate? First 10 X's in the hashtag Eve_NT channel will win 100 million VISC Eve credits. What is the only system named? What is the only named system in Syndicate? I'm sure I'm screwing that up. It's an Eve meme, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so Alliance Tournament was announced officially between the last episode and this one, and they've announced the rules. Well, they've announced that there's going to be a series of rules changes. How do you think that they will affect the Alliance Tournament? I'm super excited that Damps were nerfed, personally, and also super excited that Bastion was nerfed, because those are two things that I found frustrating in the last tournament, should we say. Tessa, what do you reckon?
Yeah, definitely going and harkening back to the conversation that we were having earlier, huge shakeups to the meta. And I think that removing Bastion and removing the power of a control setup that focuses on damps, is going to definitely broaden the meta. You're going to definitely see some different ships, some different ideas, which is always a good thing. Damps are one of the best ECMs that you can bring, because not only are they effective against every ship in the game at some level, but they also do not have a chance to fail. And those two things really look very, very nice when you're looking for guarantees in a tournament match, because there's a lot riding on a tournament match. Pothny probably can attest to probably some of the damp setups that you've seen in the past. Does it ever get boring to watch a team click, keep at range at 70k?
I mean, so the thing we always talk about when we talk about damps when we're commenting to them is who gets the good damp spread. Like, we got to the point where some teams were fitting SIBOs to their dampening shit, so they could damp the other team's damps before they got damped, so they could damp the rest of the team without being damped. I don't know about you, but that doesn't make me very wet. So
no.
like it was cool and it was interesting from an electoral and Dexter standpoint, but it was kind of terrible to watch, and I felt like it really restricted a lot of variance. I think this year, more than any year I've ever seen, which admittedly isn't saying much given how young I am in the game, just the breadth and variance in theory crafted setups I've seen and heard of from all kinds of teams, all kinds of friends that I talk to who are really interested in tournaments. I just think that this Alliance tournament, we are going to see some crazy stuff, and some crazy stuff meet other crazy stuff for like crazy squared.
I said, yeah, I completely agree with that. Turning it back to Event T, however, I wanted to just quick discuss a little bit more about the match that just happened with the double Geddon setup versus double Heretic, double Heretic Absolution that Tuskers have brought. I think we were just talking about the fact that Tuskers came out ahead in that match because of the fact that Waffles, unfortunately, is now losing one of their best setups and they don't get a win out of it. I think that's really going to hurt. Do you think that the Tuskers could have played way more aggressively at the end there, maybe all in to Navitas or all in Armageddon to see if they could just flat out break it? What do you think, Gorski, or do you think that they actually did play it correctly?
I think they may have a chance to all in on the Navitas, but like it's kind of a risky move, and they didn't lose much from not doing it. Like they got rid of one of the Waffle's strongest setups at the cost of one of what I consider one of their weakest ones. So it's a pretty good trade, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Just we saw the rock paper scissors when we had Tuskers bringing both of the Confessors in their T3D meta setup versus the Waffles double Vagabond Slipnir, and they got completely face stomped because EM damage doesn't go too well against Minmatar T2, and they lost the match pretty handedly. And it's unfortunate that something similar, Fate of the Gods, happened against the Waffles this time. So now that you're left with the setups that are still on the grid, can you make a quick rundown for me, Sutonia, of what Tuskers have left to choose from?
Okay, 1 second. So the Tuskers can still bring Proteus and Neros, 2 Confessors and Griffin. They can still bring Sleipnir, 2 Vagabonds, 2 Bursts. And they can also bring Astarte, 2 Daimos, 2 Navitas.
And, okay, well, you know what? Here they are landing on the grid right away. Let's send it back to Bay really quick and tell us what's going on.
Yep, the teams are just loading grid now. I think myself and Apothony will commentate this one. Just going to mix it up a little bit. So we're just locking up the teams now. Yep, Gorski's going to do the countdown again for us. It's a team effort, this, guys. It's super fun. Okay, so we're just looking at the teams now, and the countdown's going to start in local. Apothony, do you want to pick up with exactly what the teams have brought to the grid?
Oh, I am so stoked for this match. Me as a player, I love in-your-face Galente Blaster dunkage. And this is what today Tuskers have brought for us. They've got their Astarte, double Danos, double Navitas team. Super strong local reps on the Astarte and Deimos, augmented by that Navitas for just a little more fire, for a little more repage, then just the sheer incredible damage that Galente, Blaster, Deimos, Astarte can bring. They just want to get on top and annihilate what they're going at. And the Waffles are going to have a difficult time dealing with this. The Typhoons are kind of really good against kitey setups. They apply their damage quite well. They apply it very far, but the Celestis and the 2 Inquisitors, T1 resists, they're going to have a really hard time holding up to just the sheer crazy damage that the Tuskers team can put out.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that I'm fancying the Waffles this because I'm guessing those fiends have heavy newts, and they're going to really cripple these Galente Buster ships. It looks like we're starting the match now, and straight away we see Tuskers falling straight in. I think that they're going to get a tackle on something pretty quickly. They're deciding this match is not going to end as a draw. They did not like that. They did not like that being. So there's a scram on a Typhoon straight away there.
Yeah, all damage being focused on the Typhoon. Looks like Waffles are trying to kill the Astarte off to begin with. Interesting choice. Both teams going for the biggest possible opponent, and in terms of raw DPS, it is going to be Tuskers that have the advantage. But having said that, that Astarte is already dropping through its armor. Let's see how strong its local reps are going to be under the new pressure of those Deimos.
I think backed up with the D2 Logi, like an Aneros or Guardian, he would be okay. Whether or not these Navitas has got the power to rep him when he's I'm assuming he's got an ancillary repper. When his 9-8 pace runs out,
the thing
he's really struggling.
The Astarte is not tackled down at the moment, I don't think. So he can try and burn away from the incoming Typhoons before the newts get on him. And while that's happening, we have the first Typhoon, Rowan, taking a lot of damage. The Inquisitors are mitigating that. They're trying to just keep him up, make him worth as much as possible, keep him dying as slowly as possible, but he is slowly going down. The Swig team, actually starting to spread damage, which isn't that optimal, across the Tuskers team, and I think Tuskers have already positioned themselves in a strong lead in this match.
Yep, Rowan already feels about 30% armor. I'm super excited here because I think ships are going to explode in like the last match, and if they don't, I'll eat my hat. Rowan now is facing a lot of pressure. He's got the Deimos right on top of his face. Oh, certainly one Deimos. I'm not sure where the other one is. Maybe there's some splits. Oh yeah, sorry, Deimos on each Typhoon now, spreading tackle on each one to make sure they can't. Probably got scrams on those Deimoses, so the Typhoons can't MJD away, which I'm guessing that's what they've got. So it looks like Bemir's on one ship.
Oh, Waffles desperately trying to kill the Deimos. They realise they can't break the Astarte, but the Deimos is taking a lot of damage. Rowan is in structure, and if it goes down, that is going to be half the DPS of the Waffle team gone, annihilated, leaving the super local tank of the Galente T2 ships and the Navitas on field. Zola is going down fast, but Ro is going down faster.
Yeah, he's clawing back armor though. I mean, his armor is actually going up right now. It's actually he's not taking any hull damage. Those Inquisitors are doing an absolutely superb job of pulling up armor. His armor is going up. I'm not sure whether or not the Deimos has been neutered out, so their damage has ceased. But Zola Zuni in the Deimos for Tuskers he's down to half armor now. And if these Navitas don't get on top of him and pull him back, it could swing the other way.
I think by spreading the Deimos across the two Typhoons, they lowered the incoming damage onto Ro, which is why Ro's been able to pull him back. I don't think they should have worried about tackling the other Typhoon. They can catch him later. Finish what you've got caught already. Take that DPS on field. Get ahead. Don't try to go straight for the kill. Get ahead, then get more ahead, then get more ahead. Don't go straight for the juggler. And they're paying for it. Tuskers, Deimos going down into structure. Are Waffles pulling it back? And it goes down! Zola's down! Waffles getting the first blood in this match, and when they started at such a deficit, Rowan clawing onto life there.
How that Typhoon is still alive, I have no idea. Is he hull tanked? I don't know. We saw that in the original Worldwide, the Chinese surprise. Oh, Bemir now getting hit hard.
Oh, Bemir getting down into half armor. Our Swig are coming out swinging in this match. I am amazed for my Waffle Bros. I could not be more proud of them at this moment in time. Rowan going back into structure. The Inquisitors doing the best they can. Bemir trying to stay alive. This match is amazing.
Yeah, it could go either way at this point, I think, still. If Rowan dies before Bemir, I think it'll flip the Tuskers' way. If it goes the other way, I think it'll go... Oh, it's very, very close. Almost both ships are in hull now. The battleship obviously has more hull. No, Bemir is pulling some back. He's got an answering repper. Plus, those Navitas is repping him now. And the Inquisitors are still repping the Typhoon.
Who's gonna die first?
Oh, Bemir's down!
Fully up in
that's Rowan in it.
Oh, and Ro is going to follow him shortly unless
How is he still
Inquisitors
alive?
can catch up. Inquisitors, overheat those reps. Keep Ro up. Keep Ro up. You can do it. 2 Deimos worth of damage is off the team. Now we have the Typhoons working on that Astarte again. The Navitas is also taking damage apparently. Oh my god.
The Typhoon's going, his armor is going back up again. He's managing to claw it back. Only Sully in the DPS is alive now. He's getting absolutely hammered by these missiles from these Typhoons. He's at this point the Tuskers are losing. It's going to be 2-1 to Waffles.
Waffles. I can barely believe this, but Waffles have just pulled this out amazingly. They have flown it so well, keeping Ro in just barely alive to keep that DPS on field, to be able to take out those Deimos, take out what they needed to do. We were on a knife's edge of Ro dying and Tuskers just cleaning up being able to tank. But Ro stayed alive, God knows how. They managed to kill that first Deimos, managed to kill the second Deimos, and now they're just about managing to tank. Suleiman now going down, losing the Astarte. Swig with a hard-fought but brilliant victory in this match.
Absolutely. Roanan actually getting shield damage back now as the Starty pops. There's absolutely 0 damage left to go on him now. This is over at this point. I mean, there's a few minutes left match, but we'll see whether or not Latro and Jaxi try and stay alive, just to keep some dignity, I guess, or whether they just throw themselves out of the arena. There's no way they're going to kill anything. The match has gone to Waffles, 2-1 ahead. There's going to be a ton of people making a lot of money if this series goes the way I think it might, which will be a surprise victory. Can Tuskers bring 2 back? They've got the ability. They're brilliant pilots, and they've won already.
I wish I'd gotten home in time to bet.
Wow, okay. So we're just waiting for Jaxley and the Navitas here to die. It looks like he's just given up on life as a swarm of drones cover around him. He's going to drop soon. Wow, 13% structure, CCP Lodge Reviewer says. So 13% hull on the Typhoon. That's basically 1 volley from an Astarte.
I'm actually holding my mouse over the Typhoon, and it says it has minus 18% armor remaining.
CC for the win.
Oh my god, that was awesome. I love EVE tournaments. Oh my god.
Exactly. Forgive me, I got a little excited, but I think that was a cracking match. Okay, so we're going to go back into the studio now. Before I do that, I'm going to read out another question where you can win 100 million EVE bet credit. The question will be, you have to X up with the answer in the hashtag EVE_NT channel on Tranquility. Hashtag EVE_NT Collides channel. Right, let's get it right. So one of the questions suggested by the commentators was, what is the name of the T2 ammunition for railguns that is long range? What is the long range ammo for T2 railguns? So the first 10 people to X up with the good answer in the in-game channel will win 100 million EVE bet credit each. Chasseur, Titonia, Gorski, what do you reckon? Was that an exciting match?
Yeah, that was the best match in this series, I think.
Yeah, the best match in this series, without doubt. You know, after what had happened the last draw match, I was sitting over here slitting my wrists, but that just made me get the band-aids out and just glue my eyes to the screen because that was incredible. Well flown from Nike and also from Virus, the 2 Logifrigs that were repping that bleeding Typhoon all match. Satonia, what did you see? Talk to me about it.
Well, I think the Tuskers, as Apophany said, I think they really hurt their chances when they just split the Deimos off one of the Typhoons to go and scram the other Typhoon to stop it from colliding.
Yeah, I agree with that. The hubris that Tuskers had to just say, oh, this match is over, we caught 1 Typhoon, we'll go on to the next, is what killed them in that match, because that extra amount of time before the Deimos came back over and applied those damage, and apply the damage it can, was what Waffles needed to pull this out of the mud, shake it off, and just smack Tuskers across the face with it. I thought it was brilliant. Gorski, do you think that was the turning point, or what do you think went so clinically wrong here for Tuskers?
I think one of the main turning points was when the Typhoon was their primary, managed to nuke themselves to tackle off and burn away for the first time. And like the Logis managed to catch a bit of rep up, and then the Demos like died before him. That was maybe the turning point, like had to burn the other Demos over to tackle him, and then they lost the match basically.
Absolutely, absolutely. Apophany, you are a great fan of the balls on the dashboard, brawl you at 0, Galente setups. Do you think that the Tuskers would have had a better chance if they would have used their Deimoses to just ram Navitas and get them off the match? Or do you really think that if they would have kept that damage on the initial Typhoon instead of, being too quick and counting their chickens before they hatched, caused them to lose the match? What do you think?
I think that just staying and focusing and making sure that Typhoon was dead would have been the #1 way. I really don't know about a decision to go after the Navitas. It meant that the Typhoons would have gone down more slowly, but what scares me is how quickly the Deimos died. Obviously they were on top of the Typhoons, they got tackled. If it were the case that the Navitas were slightly too close to the Typhoons and they got tackled and they got held down and the Deimos still might have died too quickly. But if the Deimos managed to go around the Typhoons, burn them just before the Typhoons could come and save them, get their own tackle, get their own newts on them, then it may have gone the other way. I don't think it's a clear choice, but I think it would be interesting if we could wind back time and see what would happen.
No, they're just chatting still.
Yeah, I agree. The Typhoons that Waffles was fielding, they have Scram Web, so fully tackled with the Typhoon innate application bonus, and if they were using precision missiles, they're going to be doing full damage to those Deimos, and the volley that you can get out of a cruise missile, 7 launchers each, 14 total, is immense. So if the reps were not there immediately, and the rep amount of logic frigs is very small. I'm not sure if anything could have saved, that Deimos. It was an absolutely wonderful fight. Waffles are now up 2-1. Gorski, can you bring it back for me? You are now backpedaling as Tuskers. What setup are you going to bring to make sure that this last match isn't the game?
Oh, that's a hard one. With the Geddons removed, I would probably actually go with the Sleipnir Vagabond setup. It's a standard, well-tested setup, and it's strong, and it should be able to claw a win out.
Okay. Satonia, what would you do if you were like the Tuskers on the back foot, backpedaling, trying not to let all of this go wrong?
Well, one thing to take into account is that the Waffles only have 2 setups left at this point, so they can pick, and they still have 4 themselves, I believe.
Yeah, Waffles have only got Astarte, Vigilant, Execra, Molus Molus, and Scorpion, Gila Gila, Bantam Bantam. The Sleipnir, they won with the Sleipnir setup, so they won't be able to bring that again.
Of course. So, if you were the captain, what would you try and do knowing that information? What would you pick if you were on Tuskers, trying to, bring it back from the grave?
So there's 2 setups that Waffles have unbanned that they can bring right now are Astarte, Vigilant, Excura, 2 Maulers, which is sort of a brawling setup that has some Mauluses maybe to protect them against long-range damage a bit, and then they have Scorpion, 2 healers, and then 2 Bantams, which is more of a tanky drone setup with an ECM boat.
Okay, those are definitely the 2 choices. Apophany, if you were on Waffles, what do you think that you would bring here to try and just seal it shut and put the final nail into the coffin for Tuskers?
Sorry, was that me?
Indeed it was.
Sorry, I don't know why I'm going insane tonight. I really want to see the Scorpion Gila Gila Bantam Bantam setup. Like, just something about it makes me really, really happy, and I want to watch it. I mean, with the Tuskers teams, I mean, the way the jams are set up on the Scorpion, we don't know what jams Waffles have chosen, but I mean, it could go really well, it could go really poorly. But I mean, Waffles can afford to lose 1 match, right? So I think that the Scorpion Gila Gila setup is something that's going to go really, really, really well, or really, really, really wrong. And I think there's going to be very little in between just by the nature of kind of ECM teams. So I quite like to see that action.
Okay, I understand. It is certainly nice having a little bit of room. Apophany, if you were on the Tuskers side, what would you be bringing right now to keep your foot, you already have 1 foot in the grave. What are you going to bring to stop you from jumping headfirst into it?
I'd go for the tried and true. I mean, I'd just bring something. If I hadn't brought it already, I'd bring the setup that I was most comfortable in as a pilot, as all the pilots on my team would be, something that we knew do most well against the 2 remaining Waffles setups. I mean, just go somewhere comfortable. You're under pressure. If you lose another match, you're going to lose. Remove as much pressure as possible by being in your comfort zone.
Yeah, I think that's definitely probably a very, very good valid strategy. The thing about the Worlds Collide setups, where, again, for new viewers, if you're not aware, if you win with a match, that setup that you won with is no longer used. It becomes very interesting metagaming setups as far as what the first match is and how many setups or how many games you are ahead of your opponent in the match. At the end of the match, I personally think that it's a really good idea to start bringing in your best setups towards the end to get you those guaranteed wins, to bring you, like Apophany was saying, that nice comfort zone, getting the wins, because wins here are brutal because being ahead allows you to have so much more freedom than a team that's, really playing on the back foot as far as, setups are concerned, because you're not as worried about, a little missed mistake. As far as the Scorpion setup that you were talking about earlier, Gorski, do you agree that in the 5-man setup with the teams that Tuskers can still bring, which is, the double Vagabond Slipnir, which we've seen before out of Waffles, and the double Deimos Astarte, which is very similar, but we just saw lose right now. Do you think that a Scorpion would be a good idea in a high DPS setup like that, or do you think that its jams would be sufficient to take down even hack-level sensor strength?
Like, I'm looking at that setup, and it's like, I feel like there's something wrong with it, just like straight up. First of all, it's 42 points out of 45, so I have like a bunch to use instead. And the Scorpion, like, I'm not sure. I would rather use like a more DPS-y ship in that position.
Yeah, most certainly, most certainly. Scorpion has little to no damage, no application bonus, so it's going to have a hard time hitting with those battleship-sized missiles. Sutonia, talk to me. Do you agree with Gorski that that setup feels a little out of place? Do you think that they're safer going with their Astarte Vigilant, Brawl composition? And if they do go with that Brawl composition, do you think it's superior to the 2 that Tuskers have left?
Well, Tuskers can still bring 3 setups. But I think the Tuskers have a lot of setups that are very resistant to ECM as well, because they have the Proteus and Nearest 2 Confessors and the Griffin setup. The 2 Confessors can go into the Sharpshooter mode to get super high ECCM strength, and then you've got the Proteus, which can run the Information Warfare link as well on there, the Sensor Integrity link.
Oh, definitely, and with the bonus. I almost forgot about the double Confessor setup. Thanks for reminding me. That got face stomped by Waffles' Mimitar Rush team. But that's, of course, generally an option. But would you consider bringing that setup, even though it's lost already, again, for this final match? I think that'd be super risky. And I personally would feel nervous flying with a setup that I had already lost with that day. What are your thoughts on that, Sutonia?
Which of the setups do you think is stronger? Do you think Proteus, the Nearest 2 Confessor Griffin, or the Astarte Vigilant 2 Maulers and Excura setup is stronger?
I definitely think
brawl.
Oh, I definitely think the Vigilant setup would totally crush that. And I just say that because the Vigilant's 90% web is going to allow the Astarte and the Vigilant to just look down at a Confessor and just volley it off the field the second it's caught. And Vigilants are fast enough to catch Confessors.
That's true, but the Proteus and the Neros have very high kinetic and thermal resistances to their whole gang as well. And I'm not sure how useful the Mauluses are going to be.
Oh, I think the Mauluses are a very poor choice, but that being said, I think a 90% web out of the Vigilant is going to just shred away the Confessors, and once their damage is gone, I know an Oniros can easily rep off a Proteus that's fully tank fit. Do you not agree, or what do you think?
Yeah, I think the thing with the Vigilant is they can pretty much prevent anything that's webbed cannot mitigate damage against it.
I think it's certainly powerful. I like it better than their Scorpion setup. Pothny, would you agree? I know that you kind of have this hard on going after the dual Gila setup, but looking back at what Gorski had said about how the Scorpion feels really out of place, and the fact that they're throwing away 3 points, would that change your opinion?
I'm not. I am a man of brain and a man of heart, but my heart trumps my brain. So what I'm saying is, I just want to see the Scorpion setup in action. Like, I want Waffles to win, but I want to see the Scorpion setup in action.
All right, I got you. Bay, talk to me, my friend. What is the status of our 2 combatants, and when can we expect to see more exploding spaceships?
As soon as possible, I hope. Both teams, I've given you an okay. Both teams should be in warp to the arena now. So Chissa and Sutonia, if you guys could commentate this one. They are landing now, so we're just locking them up, and we'll start the countdown as soon as both teams are ready, basically. So looking at it, I see 2 bursts, 2 Vagabonds and a Sleipnir arriving on grid from the Tuskers. And awesome. I see a Mauler so far from Waffles.
Sutonia, do you want to introduce the teams? Tell us what they've brought.
So the Tuskers have brought the Sleipnir 2 Vagabond 2 Burst setup, which was the setup that knocked out their Proteus setup. And the Waffles are still landing on grid, but they've brought the setup we just talked about with the Vigilant, the Astarte, the Proteus, and 2 Mauluses.
Very, very cool. So it's going to be brawling down, except this time the Minmatar Rush team is not faced with an EM lock team, instead with Kin Therm out of the Waffles. How do you think that they're going to fare breaking XLA's B Vegas and of course that Sleipnir with that tank?
My apologies, it's an Excura, not a Proteus. I'm not sure how much DPS they have. I mean, they do have a Vigilant and an Astarte, and both of those combined can probably put out about 2,000 DPS. But the Excura and the two Maulises aren't really going to be doing next to no damage. So I'm not sure if they can break a Vagabond or a Sleipnir that's getting supported with links and 2 bursts on top of an extra large auxiliary booster before they lose stuff.
Yeah, I have got nothing but to say that I agree. You know, the double Maulises in a brawling setup, I'm really confused why they're there. Vigilants are extremely fast, and with a 90% web, nothing can kite them easily inside of the arena. And I guess the Maulises the dual Maulises are just interesting to me. Do you think that you could have come up with a better idea of what could be placed there instead?
I think maybe something like 2 Merlins or something like that. 2 ships that are fast, that can tackle kiters down, that are strong enough to sort of hang around in a brawl like Merlins are.
Yeah, I think Merlin's been a better choice here. The match is going to start now in 1 second. Ships are moving. Looking at the stream, I noticed that Waffles are shown 1-1 Tuskers, but actually it's Waffles 2 Tuskers 1. So this is going to be deciding the match. The Sleipnir on the Tuskers team burning straight in, straight away. Astarte is being left behind, and Vigilant is just cruising to the back line. So are we dealing with a rail team here, not a brawling blaster Vigilant?
I believe they do have blasters, though. Yeah, the Astarte definitely has blasters.
And it seems like the Vigilant does it as well. It just pulled back for a short period, and it's now charging back in. Sleipnir is still burning, actually right near the Astarte, and we have the Vegas coming in too here. We're fully engaged. Scram web's being applied, and it is Astarte and Sleipnir brawling in the center of the map.
Yeah, I think what Tuskers are trying to do here is they want the Waffles to fight the Sleipnir first, and Sleipnir's going to have obviously the biggest tank it's going to have a bigger tank than the two Vagabonds.
Suleiman needs to be careful. He is in low shield. He's playing it really, really low, but this Vigilant of Sis is falling quickly.
Yeah, if the Tuskers lose their links here, then that could also be a very bad decision. But the Sleipnir does tank more than the Vagabond, so I guess what they're trying to do is they want the tankier ship to get pulled first, so they have the best chance in the brawl.
Yeah, definitely. You know, I definitely think the target selection here is very, very different. We have the Waffles team focusing on the biggest, tankiest target out of Tuskers, Suleiman in his Sleipnir, while the Tuskers side are absolutely going after the Vigilant first, which I think is a smart idea. Vigilant does not have a ton of tank. It has a great utility with its 90% web, but that doesn't mean much when you're scrambling web yourself.
Yeah, and the bursts are brawling in here as well, so the damps that the Maulises are putting on them aren't really too effective at keeping them out of the fight.
This Vigilant slowly, oh, he is in half structure, one more volley, and it could be over. They're doing a heroic job trying to keep him through, but oh, he's down, and I do not see this match going very well for Waffles at this point. If Suleiman can hold against both of their DPS, he should have no problem clawing his way back to full shield against a single Astarte.
Yeah, I think 2 bursts and the links and his auxiliary, at least he'll live long enough to get a reload if he doesn't have any charges. So I think the match is over. I think the Tuskers have taken the match.
Yeah, you know, one of the Mauls is already down for Waffles, and the other one should fall shortly. The X-Square, of course, is going to be rammed by 2 Vagabonds, and I don't see it being very long for this world. You know, both of those Mauls is essentially pointless in this match because damping down a target that's 4K away from you isn't going to hurt it very much. I think this is just going to be a long and painful death here. This match right here shows us why, having the experience, the Tuskers still coming out really strong, saving the Minmatar Rush team. They obviously knew it was very important. Like I was saying earlier, saving these really, really, you know, high priority, high damage setups to last when you need that clutch win is just coming to show right here, where it's really, really been a good thing for them. Waffles, on the other hand, you know, what are they left with? The Scorpion Double Gila team. Do you think they have what it takes to pull out that last match?
But they can bring this team again as well if they do lose with it, which it looks like they probably are. And Tuskers and Waffles will both only have 2 teams that they can bring each.
Yeah, that's true. The question is, though, with this brawling setup, is it going to be enough? You know, they just lost against Double Vega Slep. Would it be faring any better against the Astarte Double Deimos setup? You know, that's really the question.
I don't think so. I think they would probably lose this setup to the Astarte Double Demas. I think the lack of DPS on the support side is what killed it here. I don't think the Morluses are doing anything. As we said, if there was like 2 Merlins instead that could have like got in and overheated Void on, maybe they would have caught a Vagabond as well instead of
there
catching
goes
with
the
Sleipnir in a
Executor.
civvy.
It's down. So Astarte is now left with no reps. And 2 Vagabonds are going to be flying down to join it, probably loading Hail and doing quite a bit of hurt. Anyway, just kind of a slowly cleanup that we will find here. Do you think that the Vigilant is worth it in points to bring it in a setup like this? You know, being a Pirate Cruiser, it's worth 12 points, I believe. It's quite a lot. Do you think that the Vigilant brings enough to the table, I guess, over like a similar, like a Deimos, or even far less points, but still the same idea of a Thorax? What do you think?
I'm not too sure. I think the Vigilant makes sense if you have a lot of ships that need help with application. But in this case, you've just got an Astarte, and the Astarte doesn't really have that much trouble with application against tackled targets. I think the Vigilant would make sense if you had like a battleship or maybe just like 5 DPS ships.
I see. I have to say, the Vigilant went down very, very quickly here. I almost think it's a little bit too lightly tanked to really kind of survive in the brawling kind of meta that we see here of, double hacks and CS, just being a cruiser with no innate resist bonus. It might find it difficult. Match is pretty much over at this point. The only thing left for Waffles is a Mollis. GFs are being thrown up in local, and the Tuskers team has lost 0 ships. So we'll see if Bay is going to take us away, or are we going to wait until the Mollis has fully succumbed?
I think we should let the match play out, just so we don't want to disappoint Mamu and Neek there in a swig off of any airtime. Yeah, wow.
Of course not.
Super exciting series. I can't believe it's gone 2-2 plus a draw. This is like as long as I thought it would ever go. So we're going to see one more match after this one. Hopefully, just one more match. And that'll be the decider. It's gone super close. A lot of people were predicting and laughing off Waffles with their theory crafting. Maybe not the strongest, but they're piloting top notch.
Certainly, Nike and Virus earlier in that absolutely clutch Typhoon pull-out victory. They did certainly some good work there, keeping themselves alive, making sure that Typhoon got just enough reps to stay alive. And Nike here again, just having a good time flying around the map, kiting it out. Satonia, in this case, when you're talking about piloting skill, what do you think are some of the hardest ships to fly while in a tournament setting?
I think Morluses can be difficult to fly here. I think probably the hardest ships to fly are the logistics.
Definitely.
There wasn't really too much for these Logi frigates to really do in this fight, but they still have to be careful of committing too much because they were damped. The burst did brawl in once they were committed on Suleiman, but Vigilant with a 90% web could potentially like 2-shot a burst.
Yeah, most certainly. Gorski, what do you think is the hardest job to do while flying tournament? Do you think it's always going to be the guy in the Logi, or do you think that there's some other types of ships or setups that really will stress a pilot?
I think it's mostly going to be the Logi. But like being the FC is also extremely hard in a tournament match. Like you have to make the right calls on who to go into and who not to go for and stuff like that.
Yeah, most certainly. Apophany, I know you've had a lot of experience with Eve and, of course, commentating. What FC differences are you seeing between, a TQ FC or someone that does a lot of tournament FCing? Can you do both? Is there crossover skill, or is it like 2 completely different paths of learning how to, herd cats, essentially?
I think that there's some kind of TQing FCing that translates very well to tournament setting. Obviously, small gang, a lot of wormhole PvP, in fact, where you're really focusing on every single ship. Whereas the large block nullsec FCs, what I found when they used to come and fly with us in lowsec, is that their target calling and their ability to really just keep their fleet marshaled is amazing. But they don't know the specifics of maneuverability in smaller numbers, of what ships that are likely to have tackle. Like, if you take them away from just max tank, max DPS ships, they start to struggle. So I think it definitely takes a certain type of FC for those skills to cross over, but I think that just the basics of keeping calm, just being able to come up with a plan on the spot, just will help anyone. So I do think FCs are very, very valuable when it comes to this kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely. Mollis now is, I believe, gone. So this match is just going to be starting to clear up. I'm just going to shoot it back to Bay now. I think we have a few more prizes to give away, do we not?
Yeah, absolutely. We're coming to the end now. We have got one. So we've given away all of our EVBET credit. We've given away 5 billion ISK worth of EVBET credit. Apologies if you've had difficulties reapplying that EVBET credit and betting with it. The draw match kind of messed things up a little bit in terms of EVBET. We're still working with ironing out technical details of this series. So apologies if you've had issues there. Hopefully an EVBET representative will be helping you fix them. So I've got one more question to give away. One more set of prizes to give away. This is a little bit special, so you want to listen closely to this one. I've got a Quaif issue Dominic's, 3 Quaif issue Vexers, and 6 Quaif issue Tristan shipskins. So some pretty shiny skins there. A lot of people have been connecting these since the skins revamp recently, and there's quite a lot of hype over skins, so it might be quite desirable to some people, Dominic's in particular. So the way I'm going to give these away is the first 10 people to answer this question, and the first person to exit with the correct answer will get the Dominics. The subsequent 3 will get the Quaff Vexer, and the subsequent 6 will get the Tristans. Bear in mind, this is how it shows up in Zern's client, so I expect it to be pretty close and a little bit of pot luck. So the question to win these shiny shipskins is, which member of our commentator team is a /r Eve moderator on Reddit? Which member of our commentator team is a /r Eve moderator? So answers in #Eve_NT space collides channel on Tranquility. First 10 win a shipskin. The first person will win the Dominics. I'm not sure if anyone's won it yet. Looks like they have. Yeah, actually, the answer's pouring in right now as my question hits the stream. That's brilliant. Okay, so we have got one more match for you here, presuming that there won't be another draw. Before we do that, I'm going to just have a look, before I hand back over to the analyst team to discuss that match, the final match and the series as a whole. I'm just going to have a quick chat with Nash Kadava, who is the gentleman that runs EVNT Nottingham, and let him. So Nash, what have you got going on at EVNT Nottingham in September?
Microphone activated.
Yes, thank you very much. Well, I guess technically we run EVNT together, so don't put all the blame on me.
It's all you if it goes wrong. It's all you.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got lots of things lined up again, so obviously the main part in terms of content will be the tournament run by yourself and Bob Shaftos. So we'll be doing a 64 team tournament, 2v2, like we did last time, and yeah, that should be exciting. I think we'll have a lot of people that want to sign up for it. We had exactly 62 people that signed up for it last time, and I think yeah, after the success of the first one and increased numbers for the one coming up, I think yeah, you got to be in early and a little bit lucky to be able to partake, but it should be really good. We've got lots of awesome prizes for that again. So we have Cooler Master on board, we have prizes coming in from Razer, Chill Blast. We have other sponsors in EVBET, of course, who've participated again and have donated lots of cool stuff. We even have some goodies from Crossing Zebras, who'll be donating some t-shirts. Twitch TV, who will also be donating some apparel. Yeah, so I mean, if I think last time we gave away just over $3,000 worth of goods, and we should probably break that quite easily again this time.
Yep, hopefully we can. Cool. Can't wait for it myself. I think there's about 10 people from my corp coming, so we're going to go out for a beer night before and maybe a pizza, and then drink all day on Saturday and do tournaments and fun stuff. Should be brilliant. So, cracking series so far. I'm really shocked it's gone to 2-2 plus a draw. I did not expect that to run a little bit longer than the anticipated 2 hours. But hopefully this next match will tie things up and we'll have possibly a new event equalised champion, or possibly Tuskers will hold the belt.
I believe in Waffles.
Come on, someone's got to cheer for them. Apart from
I like Waffles.
who do you think is going to take the series? Botany.
My Waffle Bros. Without a shadow of a
Microphone
doubt,
muted.
I have the utmost faith in my Waffles.
Yeah, I believe in the Waffles. I have my space bet honor on Waffles winning.
Well, since Waffles has the gives the best payout on Eve bet, I'd like to see Waffles win, just so more people win credit and more people lose credit, depending on who they betted on Eve bet.
Oh yeah, I'm all for the Empire. I go for the sure bet in Tuskers. I believe in Suleiman. I've got a poster of him signed on top of my bedspread, excuse me, my headboard. So they will pull this out. I'm not even worried. Not even worried.
Do you have a Suleiman waifu doll?
Of course,
Yes.
I have a Suleiman waifu doll. Who do you think I am? Anyway,
Pillow.
I really hope that's a thing.
And getting back into the match that we just saw, you know, me and Satonia were talking about it, but I kind of want to include Gorski and Apopny as well. You know, the pirate cruisers coming in at 11 points, hacks for 12. Does any pirate cruiser in this 5-man setup, is it worth having a cruiser that is 11 points? You know, Ashimu, Phantasm, Orthrus. A lot of those Orthrus setups get banned. And then, of course, you have the Cinnaball and the Vigilant. Do you think any of them are really worth it? You know, would you see a reason to use that over a hack? What are your thoughts on that, Apopny?
I really want an Ashimu team that works. I just think that as a mini Balgorn, that combination of newts and webs is going to be so powerful, and you can brick tank that thing like really hard. So I want to believe that that setup exists and can work. I just haven't seen it yet. I want to see it, but it hasn't happened yet.
I see. Gorski, talk to me. What are your thoughts on pirate cruisers generally in tournament play?
I only think there's like 2 that are useful at the moment. Like we have the Orpheus, that's probably gonna get banned. It's a good kiting ship. Does a lot of DPS.
Would you agree that it's probably one of the best ships in the game right now in TQ on TQ?
I think it's a very balanced ship, and I don't want to see speed touching
Of course.
But then we have the Gila as well, and the Gila is a strong ship. It's not as strong as it used to be with T1 drones, but it's still like able to put out a lot of DPS.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot to mention the Gila in my list, but you know, listed
But the
to
rest,
Tech 1
though-
drones. Brutal.
The rest of them, though, I'm not sure. Like Vigilant doesn't tank enough, has bad cap. Cinnaball has
Is worse
cannons.
than the Vega in every way, except that it's just 1 point less, which I'm not sure makes up for its deficiencies.
And
as a
then you
ship.
have like the Ashimu that I guess like a team like Test will bring that. And
God, shots fired.
what's left? Like there's one left, like the Stradios, I think. And yeah, that's like, isn't that like a Care Bear ship?
Yeah, it's some kind of Care Bear
Well,
ship.
yeah, like I don't want to fly that over a Vex Navy issue ever any time.
Yeah, I'd never fly that over a Vector Navy, that's for sure. I agree with you there, but I think that doesn't the Stradios go for Navy cruiser, not pirate?
I think it's a pirate.
No, it's a pirate cruiser.
It is considered pirate. Okay. Just had to get that checked out. I forgot the Stradios as well, just because it's something, like Gorski said, that you would never see. So with this last match here, this last game deciding the match, 2 for 2. Waffles are locked into one setup, which is Scorpion Double Gila, or the setup that they just
lost.
yeah,
as well.
or the setup they just lost. What would you bring if you're Waffles right now? Because the Vigilant setup got crushed pretty easily, and the Tuskers have similar looking compositions sitting in the wings. What would you do, Apopny?
I just like, this is it. This is the critical decider. I mean, I don't think I can sit here on the sidelines and really say what the team should do, because only like when you're in tournament setup, only you know your setup so well that when it comes down to it, you know what you want to pick. I mean, this is such a key moment for both teams. Tuskers keeping that title for Waffles having this opportunity to take it. I mean, Waffles have done like really cool plays in tournaments thus far, but they've never made it super deep. Like this, even though it's not the Alliance tournament itself, this is going to do so much for their morale, for like the enthusiasm within the organization to prepare for Alliance Tournament 13. And like they were already hyped up, I can tell you that much. But if they get the win here, it's going to be so awesome.
That's awesome. You know, I think that both teams are in system. Bay, can you take it away for us? Can we get this next match rolling?
Absolutely. The teams are landing on grid now. I'm interested to see how this one plays out. I think it'll be good to watch. So, yeah, before we start, myself and Apophany are going to commentate this last one. I'm just going to mention that we are offering space on the stream. We've hit nearly 600 viewers, I believe. So if you'd like to use some of the space on our overlay next to the teams, if you'd like to sponsor a team, Nash has put a thread up on the forums. So for the next event he collides on the next first Sunday of the next month, of July rather, then if you want to use some of that space to get a message out to people, whether you're an industrialist wanting to sell your caps, or if you're a third-party client, or an alliance just wants to shout off about how awesome you are. Any money that we raise from that will go directly to the teams, because at the moment they are fighting for E-Honor, and it would be nice to line their pockets with gold as well. So it looks like we are ready now for the next match. We're going to get the countdown started in local by Gorski any second now. So, yep, countdown starting now. Apophany, do you want to run through what setups they've brought and how you think it's going to play out?
Yep, so here we have, I'm just looking them up myself. We have coming in a heavy armor setup here. It's the Deimos and Astarte setup coming back for the Tuskers team. I'm really happy to see it back. Hopefully for the Tuskers, it can do some work for them. The Waffles as well, they have brought in their own Galente blaster setup with their own Astarte. Each team running it slightly differently. I'm just really looking forward to seeing how two very similar teams are going to go at it.
Yeah, this is going to be more blasters on the Tusker side versus